Good morning, dears. Welcome back to our English online class. In the last classes, we studied about the story of a fisherman and his wife who had lived in an island. In their story, we described about a mirror which they didn't see before. Today, we are going to study a new short story, The Magic Mirror. This story is also about a mirror, but it is a magic mirror. This story slightly adapted from the original story written by a primary school student is about two young children named Arun and Ammu who have an adventure in a faraway land. Ammu and Arun are sister and brother. They enjoyed their one rainy afternoon in a different way that can be imagined. Sometimes you can't believe. Okay, we can go through the story. Take your English textbook and turn page number 16. This is the magic mirror. First, teacher read the passage. Listen carefully and look through each line while reading. On a rainy afternoon, having nothing to do, Ammu and her brother Arun were bored. So they sat looking out at the rain. To pass time, they decided to explore the attic of their home. The attic was dark and dusty. They came across a mirror which was surprisingly clean and shiny. While they looked at the reflection in it, the old grandfather clock in the attic struck 5. Once again, on a rainy afternoon, having nothing to do, Ammu and her brother Arun were bored. So they sat looking out at the rain. To pass time, they decided to explore the attic of their home. The attic was dark and dusty. They came across a mirror which was surprisingly clean and shiny. While they looked at their reflection in it, the old grandfather clock in the attic struck 5. It was a rainy day. And at that afternoon, Ammu and her brother was in a holiday mood. They had nothing to do. That is why they were bored. They simply looking out of the window. Suddenly, they decided to search the attic of their home. What do you mean by attic? Attic means a room or a space just below the roof of a house, often used for storing some waste things. Or simply we can say that storing space of waste things. So, to pass time, they decided to explore the attic. Explore means to examine something carefully or to watch something carefully. They decided to explore the attic of their home. What did they decide? They decided to explore the attic of their home. But the attic was full of dust and web. At the same time, they saw something shining in the attic. It was also a mirror. But that mirror was clean and shiny. in the attic full of dust. The attic was full of dust and web, but the mirror was clean and shiny. They looked at the image in it. Suddenly, the old clock rang 5 times. It is an old clock. Aaron said it was strange. Why it was strange? Which was strange? The clock was strange. Why it was strange? Because attic is a space used for storing some waste things. That is why he thought that the clock was useless. But when it rang, he surprised. That's what Arun said. The second para. That is weird, Arun said. I thought the clock was junk. They felt the mirror was calling them. Arun stretched his hand towards the mirror. His hand went right through the mirror as if it were water. He withdrew his hand hastily. They looked at each other in amazement. Shall we step into the mirror? Arun asked. Ammu nodded. 1, 2, 3. They stepped into the mirror. Once again, that's weird, Arun said. I thought the clock was junk. They felt the mirror was calling them. Arun stretched his hands towards the mirror. His hand went right through the mirror, as if it were water. He withdrew his hand hastily. They looked at each other in amazement. Shall we step into the mirror? Arun asked. Ammu nodded. 1, 2, 3. They stepped into the mirror. I thought that the clock was junk. What do you mean by junk? Junk means things that are considered useless or of little value. For example, we often heard that burger, pizza, cola, etc. are junk foods. What do you mean by junk foods? Why it is called so? Because they are useless for our health. Therefore, that is called junk foods. Here, junk means things that are considered useless or of little value. So, I don't thought that the clock was useless. They thought the mirror was calling them. That much attraction for the mirror. Arun decided to touch the mirror. When he touched the right side of the mirror, they were full of water. He stretched back his hand suddenly. He withdrew his hand suddenly. They too looked at each other. Then they decided to step into the mirror because it was full of water. Ammu and Arun together count 1, 2, 3 and then they stepped into the mirror. The next paragraph. Suddenly, they found themselves in a forest. It was quite dark. The leaves of the trees overhead blocked the sunlight. It's just like in books where something magical happens, said Arun. It's so exciting. Once again, suddenly they found themselves in a forest. It was quite dark. The leaves of the trees overhead blocked the sunlight. It's just like in books where something magical happens, said Arun. It's so exciting. After stepped into the mirror, they reached in a forest. Forest means the dark place. So, here also the forest is a quite dark place. There are bushy trees. Sunlight was covered with the leaves of the trees. So, they thought that something magical happens. It is an exciting moment for them. The next paragraph. They found their way out of the forest into fields of blue and red flowers. Butterflies were flitting from flower to flower. The fields were lit by the evening sun. Standing in the field was a white horse with silver wings. "Wow, it's Pegasus, the winged horse!" exclaimed Amu. They walked towards it, and Pegasus raised its head. "Who are you?" asked Pegasus. Arun answered shyly, "I am Arun, and this is Amu." Pegasus looked at them curiously. "Where did you come from?" Pegasus asked. "We came through a magic mirror," said Amu. "Well, that would have been exciting," said Pegasus. It will soon be dark." "I had better go home," said Pegasus. "Can we come too?" asked the children. "Of course. Climb onto my back," Pegasus said. They scrambled onto Pegasus' back. They soared through the air and finally landed on soft, warm grass under a big tree. Again, they found their way out of the forest into the fields of blue and red flowers. Butterflies were flitting from flower to flower. The fields were lit by the evening sun. Standing in the field was a white horse with silver wings. "Oh, it's a Pegasus, the winged horse!" exclaimed Amu. They walked towards it, and Pegasus raised its head. "Who are you?" asked Pegasus. Arun answered shyly, "I am Arun, and this is Amu." Pegasus looked at them curiously. "Where did you come from?" Pegasus asked. "We came through a magic mirror," said Amu. "Well, that would have been exciting," said Pegasus. "Can we come? It will soon be dark." "I had better go home," said Pegasus. "Can we come too?" asked the children. "Of course. Climb onto my back," Pegasus said. They scrambled onto Pegasus' back. They soared through the air and finally landed on soft, warm grass under a big tree. The children, they looked at each other because everything happened. It was surprising to them. They were excited. They thought that something magical happened. The way out of the forest, that's outside of the forest, was the field full of blue and red flowers. Beautiful butterflies flying here and there. The fields filled with the light of evening sun. There was a white horse in the field with silver wings. Amu said that it was Pegasus. The name of that winged horse is Pegasus. Amu realized the name of the horse, that is the winged horse. Its name is Pegasus. They talked with Pegasus. It was the time of evening. Pegasus had to return its home. Pegasus invited both of them. First, they asked to come with Pegasus. So they invited them to its home. They climbed to the children, they climbed to its back with happy. They flew high in the air. They flew high in the air. And finally, they reached under a big tree. The next paragraph. Then they flew through a forest, a field, and over a hill to a cottage. A man in a blue robe opened the door and asked them to follow him in. They followed him into a room where they saw a mirror. It looked exactly like the mirror in their attic. Step into the mirror and you'll be home, said Pegasus. The children thanked Pegasus. They stepped into the mirror and found themselves back in the attic. They then flew through a forest, a field, and over a hill to a cottage. A man in a blue robe opened the door and asked them to follow him in. They followed him into a room where they saw a mirror. It looked exactly like the mirror in their attic. Step into the mirror and you will be home, said Pegasus. The children thanked Pegasus. They stepped into the mirror and found themselves back in the attic. Also, they flew through a forest, a field, and over a hill to a cottage. Finally, they reached into a cottage. In the cottage, a man in a blue robe opened the door. And when they entered into the room, they saw the same mirror in the attic. When they entered into the room, they saw a mirror. It was same as in the attic. Pegasus wanted them to step into the mirror to went back to their home. The children said thanks to Pegasus and stepped into the mirror. After some time, they reached their attic in their home. At that time, there was also raining. They were thrilled and thought that it was the most adventure trip for them. It was most adventure trip for them. The last paragraph. It was still raining. Adam looked at Amu and said, "That was the most exciting adventure we have ever had." "Yes, really," Amu said. They heard their mother calling them. They got down from the attic and walked into the kitchen just in time for dinner. When they returned their attic, Amu and Arun was very excited. They were thrilled and thought it was the most adventure trip. Suddenly their mother called them. They got down from the attic and walked towards the kitchen. For what? For their dinner. They told their mother about their adventure, but she did not believe it. When they went to bed, they dreamed of going through the mirror and having more exciting adventures. At the time of dinner, they told everything to their mother, but she didn't believe it. After taking their dinner, they went to bed with beautiful and everlasting memories of this adventure and a new adventure. Their mother didn't believe what they said. But when they went to bed, they had some beautiful memories and everlasting memories of the adventure that they conducted. Okay, that's all about the story. Then today we have two activities as homework. First one, check how will you read? First activity, Arun and Ammu stepped into the magic mirror. Can you identify the places and things they saw in order? Write their names of places, beings and things in the boxes given below in proper order and complete the flow chart. Flow chart means the things that happen are written in an order, then it is a flow chart. Here the things in order, first they reached in the attic. Then what happened? Then what did they see in the attic? They saw a mirror. Then what happened? They stepped into the mirror. Then where did they reach? They reached in a forest. The first one is attic, then mirror, then forest. From the forest, they entered into the field. The fourth one is field. And then what happened? They saw Pegasus, the winged force. The fifth one is Pegasus. From Pegasus, where did they reach? They reached in a cottage that is given. In the cottage, what did they see? They saw a mirror. Therefore, the next item is mirror. From the mirror, they returned back their attic. Therefore, the order is attic, mirror, from mirror to the forest, from the forest to the field. In the field, they saw Pegasus. From Pegasus, they reached in a cottage. In that cottage, they saw a mirror and they stepped into that mirror and they returned back to their attic. That is the order. Then the second activity. Here are the events of the story, The Magic Mirror. They are given in jumbled order. Arrange them in proper order and narrate the story. The lines in the story are given as a jumbled order. It means not in a correct order. So, what you have to do? You should write the story in a correct order. You should write the story in a correct order. This is a type of question in your examination. One type of activity for your examination. A story is given as in jumbled order or in a shuffled order. So, you should write the story in a correct order. Here, which is the first sentence? It was a rainy afternoon. Then, second, Arun and Ammu decided to explore the attic. Then, in the attic, they saw a magic mirror. Then, the grandfather clock struck 5. Then, they entered the magic land. Pegasus took them for a flight. Then, they reached a cottage in a forest. Next, the kids thanked Pegasus. They stepped through the magic mirror again. The last they found themselves back in the attic. That is the correct order. So, first you must read the story 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or as much times as you can. Read slowly the story, each line by line. Then understand the meanings of each line. Then complete the 2 homeworks. Okay, if you have any doubt, then call me personally. Okay.